Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Hanoi Radio and Television News. Right now, let's go over today's headlines. EU wishes to strengthen cooperation with Vietnam. Epic appease from Thăng Long Imperial Citadel. Brilliant fireworks mark 15th anniversary of National Reunification Day. Ladies and gentlemen, European Council President Antonio Costa had a phone call with Vietnam's Party General Secretary Tô Lâm on the evening of April 13, congratulating Vietnam on the 15th anniversary of the liberation and the sound and national reunification, April 13, 1975. Expressing his joy in order to have a phone call with General Secretary Tô Lâm on April 30, a major holiday of the Vietnamese people, European Council President Antonio Costa warmly congratulated the General Secretary, saying that this is a great historical event not only for Vietnam, but also for the conscience of the world. The party chief affirmed that in the context of difficult world trade, Vietnam advocates multilateralization, diversification, and equal and mutually beneficial cooperation with all partners, including the EU and its member states, towards balanced, sustainable trade collaboration and harmonizing the interests of all parties to achieve common development goals. The President of the European Council affirmed that the two sides are important, trustworthy, and stable partners of each other. He noted with delight that the bilateral relationship is developing dynamically and strongly in all areas, affirming Vietnam is a fundamental partner of the EU in Southeast Asia and the EU-Vietnam relationship deserves being elevated to a new level. The President of the European Council affirmed that, in the context of complex world geopolitics and economic developments, the EU wishes to strengthen cooperation with Vietnam to promote free trade and respond to global challenges, including climate change. The two sides need to strengthen collaboration in the fields of transport, infrastructure connectivity, green transition, digital transformation, and innovation, he said. The two leaders agree that Vietnam and the EU need to strengthen cooperation at multilateral forums, contributing to ensuring peace, stability, and security in the world, supporting the settlement of disputes in the East Sea by peaceful means, in accordance with international law, including the 1982 UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, UN Clause 1982, thus helping ensure peace, stability, and freedom of navigation and overflight in the region. On this occasion, General Secretary Lem congratulated the EU and the President of the European Council on the occasion of Europe Day, May 9. He respectfully invited Ms. Costa to visit Vietnam at the sustainable time, and the latter accepted the invitation with pleasure. On the evening of April 13, a political art performance titled 50 Years of Nation's Complete Joy was held at the Thăng Long Imperial Citadel. The program was organized by the Hanoi municipal authorities under the guidance of the Party Central Committee's Commission and directed by the Hanoi Party Committee and People's Committee in collaboration with Hanoi Radio and Television. The show 50 Years of the Nation Complete Joy paid tribute to Hanoi's historic role as the command center of the resistance, a vital reappearance as an indomitable symbol during the war for national reunification. On the evening of April 13, despite heavy rain, crowds gathered enthusiastically at the Thăng Long Imperial Citadel to witness the moving performance. A symphony orchestra with 66 instruments performed live, seamlessly blending music, dance, 3D mapping, documentary footage, and stories from historical witnesses. The production brought the audience back to the nation's heroic and challenging year, evoking powerful emotions and deep pride in the country's journey toward unity and peace. In the program, renowned artists such as people's artist Tấn Minh, meritorious artist Thanh Thanh Hiền, meritorious artist Lan Anh, and singers Mỹ Linh, Khánh Linh, among others, performed timelessly epics including The Sound, The Front Line of the Nation, The Song on the Hiền Lương Pier, The Song of Hope, and The Trường Sơn Stick. Especially songs like Hanoi Those Sleepless Nights, Song of Hanoi, and Dark Run River When Spring Comes, which reflect the resilience of the capital during the war's most difficult days, especially when Hanoi briefly confronted the Super P-52 flying fortress, deeply moved the audience. 50 years of the nation's complete joy was not merely a performance, it was a journey back to cherished memory, a heartfelt expression of gratitude, a call to awaken national pride, and an invitation to continue building upon the pioneering spirit, ready to embrace the nation's new spring. On the evening of April 13, Ho Chi Minh City came alive with vibrant culture and sport activities to celebrate the 15th anniversary of the liberation of the South and national reunification, April 13, 1975. Despite spending hours under the sun and a night waiting for the event, crowds remain enthusiastic as they gather to witness the much-anticipated fireworks displays. From early morning, thousands of residents and visitors flocked to central areas of the city, particularly Bạch Đằng Wharf Park and Nguyễn Huệ Walking Street, considered prime spots for viewing the fireworks. At exactly 9 p.m., the sky lit up as the first bars of fireworks dapped the audience. Each brilliant explosion painted the night sky with color and emotion, stirring deep patriotic pride on this historic occasion. The display, lasting 15 minutes, was held simultaneously at 30 locations across the city, creating an unforgettable spectacle that united the crowds in joy and remembrance. Throughout history, April 13 has been etched in the heart of every Vietnamese person as an immortal epic, the day the country was reunified. No matter where they are in the world, on this day, the children of Vietnam always turn to the fatherland with pride and deep gratitude, marking the 15th anniversary of the liberation of the South and national reunification. Vietnamese communities across the globe have organized meaningful activities to honor the great sacrifice of previous generations, especially President Ho Chi Minh, the beloved leader of the Vietnamese people. Ho Chi Minh Monument in Moscow, Russian Federation. Mr. Nguyễn Thiện Toản and his family arrived yearly to pay tribute to the great leader, a former Special Forces soldier. Mr. Toản was captain of a number ship on the Ho Chi Minh Trail at sea and took part in the campaign to liberate Trường Sa in 1975. He later served as the political commissar of the first submarine of the Vietnam People's Navy. For Mr. Toản and millions of others, April 13 is not only a proud historical milestone, but also a reminder of the value of peace, independence, and the sacrifice made by those who came before. As he shared the significance of this day with his grandchildren, born and raised in Russia, his pride is evident. Ladies and gentlemen, diversifying export markets instead of putting all eggs in one basket. That's the message from Vietnamese trade counselor approach the exporter amid growing trade tensions. This was the key takeaway from the April briefing of Vietnam's overseas trade offices. The textile and garment sector, one of Vietnam's key export industries, remains heavily dependent on the U.S. market. In 2024, export to the U.S. reached $16.6 billion, making up 38.2% of the industry's total export value. If the two countries fail to reach an agreement during the current 90-day negotiation window, the sector could face serious disruption. In anticipation, the industry has already begun implementing response measures. According to the General Department of Customs, in the first half of April 2025, Vietnam's total import-export turnover dropped to $35.44 billion, a 10.6% decline compared to the latter half of March. This signals that the impact of the ongoing trade war is starting to be felt, with key export sectors such as textiles, footwear, wood products, and seafood heavily dependent on the U.S. market. Trade counselors stress the need not only to accelerate tariff negotiations, but also to diversify markets. Among the 17 FTAs Vietnam has signed, several are new generation agreements with deeper and broader commitments than traditional ones. Notably, the EU-Vietnam Free Trade Agreement (EVFTA) and the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership (CPTPP) offer valuable pathways. Canada, a CPTPP member, is one such target market. That's all for today. Thank you for watching and see you next time.